From one standpoint of life, life can be defined as choices and the freedom to make choices. And a pivot is a crucial decision-making point which can alter the entire course of your life. At this point, I would like to emphasize that it is the responsibility of individuals to take ownership of these responsibilities and add purpose and meaning to their life. And a pivot can be seen as an opportunity to embrace these ideas, to be able to give it direction so that it aligns more with your purpose in life. For this, it is advised that you need to step out of your comfort zone and delve into risk-taking. I've often heard people saying that in order to take risk, it is important that the risk-taking should be well-informed and balanced. So it's said that when you are taking a risk, it is important that it should be well-balanced and informed. For the very simple reason that a decision, a risk which is well-informed, after analysis, after critical analysis, where you know and understand what are the potential consequences of this, your ideas are certain to get into positive outcomes. However, if you take bold and such kinds of risks which are not really calculated, then the outcomes are supposed to be, or generally, they'll turn out to be negative. And therefore, all organizations and individuals are therefore asked to be prudent while selecting their risks. At 21 years of age, this kind of advice was not available to me. I was living in a dream world where everything took care of itself and I did not have to make any particular decisions. At least that's what I thought. Until that one morning when I saw an advertisement in the newspaper inviting young men to join the Indian Army. I had always dreamt of donning the uniform, so this particular information caught my attention. I went through it and I realized that I fitted the entire requisite except that I was not a young man. So I started pondering over this. Something about the advertisement did not seem correct. Why was it that only men were called to serve the nation? Why not women? Why didn't the Indian Army have a policy for women to join the Indian Army? Who was to take this step? That was the first pivot that I faced in my adult life. Should I wait for someone to take the first step? Or should I step in and make the changes of the wheels of change to come into action and do things myself? Well, the decision was very simple for me. In my restiveness, I pondered about it and I penned down a letter to the highest authority of the Indian Army, that is the Chief of Army Staff. I conveyed my message of inducting women into the Indian Army and sided it up with ample evidence, including my own example of being perfectly fit and capable as well as willing to join the Indian Army. You all must think that it's a very, kind of an impulsive and bold action. And why would the Chief of Army Staff read a letter written by any random college girl with such a exotic suggestion, leave alone write back to her? Well, he did. He wrote back to me, commending me on my enthusiasm, and he said that yes, the Indian Army would sure to take such steps for induction of women into the Indian Army, but it was bound to take some time. And for the time being, he told me to concentrate on my studies and my physical fitness. I followed his advice emphatically. I went and studied law and took control of my own physical fitness because I wanted to be ready for the Indian Army when the army was ready for us. The rest is, as you all know, history. It was a kind of a deja vu when I came across an advertisement 4 years after this incident, portraying an outline sketch of a woman in uniform with the headlines, Women, the Army beckons you. 25,000 applications were received, 250 were called for the interviews, and out of that, 25 were selected to be the first batch of women to join the Indian Army. I wear that identity of Lady Cadet #1 with honor, with great pride and gratitude. Another determining incident in my life followed soon after. 24th September 1992, 10 a.m., the first batch of women to join the Indian Army report to the Officers Training Academy. 10 p.m. the same night, Lady Cadet #1 is hospitalized. Symptoms: acute pain in the abdomen, diagnosis: stones in the kidney. That was me. All my life I had dreamt of joining the army, and here on day 1, I was hospitalized. I was completely shattered when I was told that any cadet who stays in the hospital for more than 6 days will be relegated to pass with the second batch. I became completely oblivious to the pain, and I reported to the doctor saying that I should be discharged because I don't have any pain anymore. He understood my plans. After 3 days of treatment, I was discharged from the hospital. And when I reached the barracks, I realized that nobody was there. All the girls had gone for the games parade. When I went there, I saw they were all playing basketball with lots of energy and enthusiasm. I wasn't able to play with them. I kept standing on the sides. I thought that if I jumped, the stones would jump too, and the pain would return. It wasn't that I was just scared of the pain, but I was very disappointed in myself that this body of mine, which I had molded for so many years, was letting me down. Anyway, we went back, and the next day we were called for morning PT, which required us to do a 2.5 cross-country, 2.5 kilometers run. The whistle blew, and we started running. As I was running, I wasn't paying attention to where I'm running. I just kept following the route mindlessly, because in my mind, 1,000 flashes were taking place. 1,000 moments were flashing. I remembered how agile, how swift, how strong I was, and how now these stones were slowing me down. In my thoughts, I never realized where I've reached, but somewhere in the middle, I just stopped to see where I had landed, and when I turned back, I saw that all the girls were way far behind me. Even without trying my best, I was running much ahead of them. Then something magical happened. It dawned on me that despite the stones, I could run. And not that I could just run, I could run faster than the entire lot. This is what Oprah Winfrey would have called the aha moment of my life. I turned back and I started running with total encouragement and courage and with faith and conviction in my ability. And with each step, I was mindful of my speed, of my strides. I blessed my body and I broke free. I broke free from the shackles that had been constraining me, transcending my smaller, softer self, which had been restricting me. I ran. Yes, I ran with unabated courage and conviction, and I swept into the open fields just like the wind blows. This time, I realized that I had set myself free. And it was a feeling of unexpressible freedom and deliverance. I realized what the word tenacity meant. Tenacity means to have the courage and determination in the face of adversity, to have the conviction and the persistence to be able to bounce back even when you're in trouble, and to keep on moving despite obstacles. It means that you go ahead and you don't let minor setbacks stop you. I served in the Indian Army for 10 years in the Judge Advocate General's Department. I earned myself a commendable name. I was living a dream. I conducted several court-martials, defended cases against the military, and gave legal advice to the formations as and when retired. So when your dream and your profession is the same, you shine. Like I said, I earned myself a good name, I was living a dream, and then the dream came to an end. As per the terms and conditions of service, we were released from service after 10 years. Of course, I was aware of these terms and conditions, but I was not prepared. It was time to say goodbye to the army, but I was not ready. I was at my best, professionally as well as emotionally. I had fought the battles I needed to fight, and I learned the lessons I needed to learn. I was charged, given my best, but that was not to be. My entire life, its purpose, objective, mission had orbited around the army, and now it was over. It felt like I had no purpose in life, nothing to look forward to. Well, this happened, and that was the end of a dream, the end of my tryst with my chosen destiny. I stood at the threshold of life with a glorious past behind me and an uncertain future ahead of me. It was time to activate the pivot once again. I realized that I needed to be open-minded. I needed to move on. For this, I needed to consider more options, more opportunities, more possibilities, learn and grow, and think about all these opportunities without prejudice or without judgment. I decided that in order to go ahead, I needed to adapt effectively to the change. Thereafter, I earned degrees, qualifications, and moved on in life. To give you an example, I studied journalism and mass communication and became a publisher with Sikkim Express in Gangtok. I prepared MBA aspirants for their interviews and group discussions. I trained to become a professional soft skills trainer. I mentored girls, young girls in finishing schools. I studied education and started working with the Lawrence School, a prestigious boarding school in North India. My experience empowered me to become a motivational speaker who encouraged thousands of students to follow their heart. This happened only because I was able to be innovative, and being innovative made me realize the best of myself and to use my potential to its best. A pivot, I repeat, a pivot is a set of attributes and attitudes which helps you to navigate through life's challenges and to grow with purpose and meaning. When you are able to showcase perseverance, take the initiative, have vision, you're open-minded, and when you exhibit tenacity, you'll realize that life opens up with opportunities for you. My life is what it is because of the pivots I used in time, because I took the right steps when I was on the crossroads. Therefore, I say that I may not be wearing the uniform anymore, but yet I'm marching on. Thank you. Jai Hind.